Today, we are obviously brought to you by Voris and my company, Stick and Grow. We're going to be talking about cold outreach, specifically with free resources, and I'm going to explain why the free resources are so important, how they're working on social, but specifically on cold outreach. So LinkedIn DMs is really what I'm talking about, and emails. They're super important, and the game has sort of shifted in the last couple of months. If we have not met yet, hey, what's up? My name's Dan. I've been a copywriter for a very long time. I was the CMO at Voris up until last summer. And that's why you'll hear me talking about Voris sort of in the same breath as my own stuff, because I was with Kyle for years and we worked together there, and we still work together on projects from time to time. So I was ex-CMO there. I was ex-head of growth and head copy coach over a copywriting course. I've been a copywriter for many different industries, many different size companies. And I've sort of been all over the place with my career over the last 20 years in terms of what type of copy I've been focusing on. And I've basically seen a lot of different stuff out there. So if you have copy questions, I'm always happy to help. And right now, what I'm doing with Stick and Grow is I'm building LinkedIn funnels with cold outreach over on LinkedIn. And it's going pretty well. So in that, I've got to see a lot of cold outreach strategies through Voris, especially with cold emails, a lot of stuff right now with cold DMs. And I can tell you that the normal way is not really working. At least not anymore. Things constantly shift in the sales game. You know, people will find one great approach and then everybody starts copying it, and then your inboxes are flooded with stuff that everybody's doing. So we don't really want to get trapped in doing what everybody is always doing and then just hoping that we're always going to see those same results forever. Things shift, and what's working 6 months ago might not be working now, but also what's working 6 months ago might come back a year from now. So we always want to be testing things. And what's happening right now, I'm going to get to in one sec here. And if you have any questions and whatnot, just drop them in chat. I will get to them. There's going to be a Q&A at the end of this where we can get into hopefully a couple of practical examples with some of your companies. So what most people have in their inboxes are something that looks like this. A connection invite is sent. If accepted, the salesperson will then send a pitch of some sort, and then that's it, the end. My inbox is full of this stuff. I'm sure yours are as well. And they're just not a great experience. It's sort of like a pitch and pray sort of thing where there's not much thought put into it, I don't think. And it just feels very, very weak and kind of annoying. And I think that's because of something that a lot of companies are doing unfairly to their B2B sales reps, their inside sales teams. It's very different than other sales roles. SDRs get it sent out with nothing. If you compare them to an outside rep like I used to be, I would get sent out with physical material. I had handouts, I had brochures, I had when I was selling beer, I literally had samples with me. That's a huge selling point. AEs often, if they're further along in the sales process, will get digital materials, interactive stuff. They'll have all kinds of things to support them. If you go to events, you'll probably go again with physical stuff in hand to hand out, to show people. I remember being at SaaStr a few years ago, and somebody had this binder of just brilliant presentation, just that they were flipping through in person. It was fantastic. SDRs get nothing. If they're lucky, they'll get some support from the company, but for the most part, I might be exaggerating here a little bit, but they get a phone and an email account, and then they're told, "Hey, go, wake some prospects up and start booking some meetings." And what happens is usually this process, and I think this is a huge mistake. Somebody will say, let's say, either your sales leader or your CEO or whoever will say, okay, well, let's build a list targeting this persona with this filter and this filter and this filter, whatever, and then we'll come up with a list, right? And that's done pretty quickly. And then they go, all right, now we write some emails to this person. Cool, let's go. That's it. There's no thought to what are we actually putting in the email? What's the mini offer? Why would this email be a no-brainer for the person? I think some people sometimes get lost in the sauce because they think that the email is all about the copy and the copy is all about the words. And if you think about it, we're not just wordsmithing. Words by themselves are not going to fix the main problem. The main problem is that the email itself is substanceless. So it's done a little thought, and this is something I'd like to change today. That's why most emails look something like this. If you're lucky, they look something like this. My company helps your company do something, want to talk. If you're really lucky, you'll catch the person at the right time, at the right place, in the right mood, and then they might go, okay, cool, let's go. That's the standard that most cold outreach is at. It's very strange that it's this weak. People absolutely hate this. If you've been a recipient of this, I'm sure you've seen this. And I can say anecdotally that for the last, I'd say about year or so, cold email performance across the board has been down at the teams that I've worked with. And then DMs have never been really great, and they too are suffering. And it's because I think they look like this. So instead of this, let's dig a little bit deeper. Why are they not great? So there's no obvious value. It's only one way. It's basically, do you want to get on a call with me, a stranger? There's a lot of trust you have to kind of go into this. Am I going to hard sell you? Am I going to be relevant? Is it going to be a crappy experience? There's all kinds of stuff that's uncomfortable here. It's also vague. Sometimes people will avoid the call and say, well, let's collaborate in the future with something. I don't know what that means. Or it's sneaky. They start asking questions that are irrelevant just to get you in a conversation, to hit you with a random sales pitch that is not relevant to the problems that you're facing as the prospect. We should change that. As I mentioned, this is not just about wordsmithing and choosing words that because I'm going to use this synonym versus that synonym, this is suddenly going to make the email better. We need to focus on the angles of the emails. Editing the words is never the problem. I've worked as an editor for years on whether it's books, whether it's emails, the same thing always happens. The word choice is the last thing you go to. The first thing is this logically going to be valuable for the person reading it? Is that going to hook them? If I say X instead of Y, word to word, it doesn't matter, but maybe offer to offer, it does. If I open an open-ended question versus asking for a call, that sort of optimization type of stuff, once you have things rolling, that you might do tests to see if this is maybe marginally better than that. But these aren't the main problems with most of these emails and DMs. The real problem is the angle that you're choosing, if you're choosing an angle at all, to be frank. And are you being relevant to the person with their specific problems, with their specific timing right now? That's the real trick. So instead of doing it the normal way, what I'm proposing to you today is a way to create free resources that actually pin down very specific stepping stone problems that give the readers a quick win. And we're going to go into examples of this. I have a ChatGPT thing that's a sort of a 10-minute hack, but there's a deeper process to this that I really want you to stay with me here so that you can actually see through it and how you can apply it with your company. So one thing, if you're on LinkedIn, that you've definitely been seeing for basically the last, again, probably 6 months or so, is that everybody's leaning into lead magnets in their social posts. So that's not exactly the same thing as a DM or an email, but this is something that is absolutely stopping people scrolling and going, oh, whoa, that's really valuable. Can I get it? So I have up here, don't worry about the text necessarily, but Kyle does this a lot and it works fantastically. You'll see a lot of his posts with thousands of comments like this one because he offered, basically, I'll give you an AI prompt. I'll give you something, but it's something specific to solve a specific problem. I'm sorry, but I'm going to keep using the word specific and relevant probably all class today. But I want you to think about what you're seeing and why it's working. Daniel Bustamante has grown his following immensely this year because he's basically specialized in lead magnet posting. He does little mini courses. He does little giveaways that are so specific to the problems that his audience faces. And they're the type that attracts new people to him. Matthew Brown is another one. He's in MySpace, and he absolutely comes up with fantastic ideas for things that I'm struggling with, that I've signed up for probably every single one of his stuff. And then here's one that's not a post, but a message where Mary sent this to me that was, it's a standard Loom video style outreach message. It's a video message, but it's framed nicely. Hey, got 2 minutes. Our team did quick research for Voris.com. Check it out here. And here's a Loom video, and then boom. Even that is better than the standard, hey, are you struggling with X problem? We might be able to help you. Book a call, right? This is something you've done for me. I'm at least going to watch the video. It feels a little bit valuable. Hopefully it actually is a real video that you've done and not something that you've just kind of canned and sent to everybody. But that's another point. So I hope you're seeing that what stops the scroll is going to be valuable, specific things that really wedge into problems and then really kind of stop you in your tracks and go, oh, this is really good. These things, if framed properly, will work in your cold outreach as well, in your DMs, in your cold emails. They will certainly add an element. I'm willing to put, actually, I would put my career on this. This is a big bet that I'm making, that cold emails without any resources are really going to struggle in the future versus ones that actually have some sort of value. The trick is actually making it valuable. So again, it's value first. It's focused and easy to understand versus some broad thing of, hey, do you want to work with me? Do you want to buy my product? It also, if you're doing it right now, is going to stand out against the competition. It's going to solve a specific problem if you do it right, which we'll get into in a second. And we're going to use this 5-step process. So bear with me here. And if you have any questions, please pop them into chat. We're going to walk through a 5-step process that I would love for you to take back to your respective teams. And then also you could do this by yourself. I'm going to show you a 10-second version with ChatGPT that is not the same quality as doing it in a structured 5-step process, but it sort of attacks it the same. Well, it's better than nothing. The 5-step process that I'd love you to internalize here. Step number 1 is just start with, who are we targeting? Many of you are at SaaS companies and have multiple personas. For the sake of this exercise, just choose one. Who is the one prospect that I'm choosing to build this list around, that I'm choosing to build this campaign around? What specifically is that one prospect struggling with? What are their biggest pain points, goals, and priorities? You probably have some version of this floating around somewhere in the company, but humor me, write it out as part of this process. If you're sitting down in person, put it on a whiteboard. Do go through the process where we're doing who and then what are they struggling with right now. Step number 2 is, what is the big problem that we solve with our full solution? So for that one prospect, what is that big problem? Okay, when that one person buys your product or service, what's the big problem that they're solving? Why is this the big problem? And then what are the consequences if they do not solve that big problem? I ask that because sometimes we think there's a bunch of problems and we can make a list of 10 problems, and that's nice. But what's the one problem that stands out above all others? If you had to, forgive the analogy, but gun to the head, you had to choose one, what would it be? Right? What is that big problem that you're solving? And often you can get to it with a value prop statement or a job story statement that says something like this, like, we help persona X solve problem Y by solution A. That'll help. That's good internal language. It's not good external language. But if you look at that, maybe that'll help you come up with the big problem. Alternatively, sometimes making a big list of job story situations from the prospect's POV, like when blank situation, then motivation in order to outcome. So, for example, when it's lunchtime and I'm hungry, I might get a burger to satisfy my hunger. Something like that. For example, but hopefully you can use some of these to isolate a big problem that you're facing. That the prospect is facing, that you actually solve with the paid solution, with the full engagement. Okay. Then, what is the smaller stepping stone problem or problems that might lead to that bigger problem? So I have an example for this in a second. Bear with me because I'm talking at sort of a theory level, and I will bring this home. But step number 1 was, who's the one prospect? Then number 2 was, what's the big problem we're solving in a paid engagement or product or service? And then number 3, what is a smaller stepping stone problem? So something that's very, very small, but still painful. Something that naturally might lead to the big problem you solve. Something that's easy for you to create and also feel super valuable for the prospect. And again, we're going to come to an example here, but so I'll pause there for a second. A smaller stepping stone problem, right? And then what format should we use for this idea? So the formats that might, and you might want to take a screenshot of this slide once I get this all on screen. So if they need to self-diagnose a problem, you might be wanting to use scorecards, audits, or quizzes. If they need a shortcut or ready-made resource, they might need a swipe file, templates, examples, a playbook, something like that. If they need proof that the method works, if that's the main blocker, well then, use some case studies, put some customer stories together, maybe do a how it works or behind the scenes breakdown. Do they need a way to calculate lost revenue or inefficiencies? Well, that's where an ROI calculator works great. And ROI calculators have been working great for a lot of the companies that I've worked with recently. Now, the reason why I think these are important is that they are actually valuable to the right person at the right time. So at your company, you might want to make a couple of these for different scenarios. Maybe just one of these makes sense for you. But I really want you to think, for that one prospect right now, what's that big blocker that they have? Maybe this is a good chance to solve the problem. What's a stepping stone problem? Again, I'll come to an example of that now, that one of these can solve well. So again, this is the same thing. I'm sort of repeating myself by spinning it around in different ways, hopefully for you to get your teeth into here. So if we keep going here, step number 5 is, how do we then make it super attractive? Okay, so by here, we've chosen sort of what we want to create. How do we actually make it super attractive? We want it to hit these criteria. It's got to have high perceived value. So this is just a challenge statement, but would somebody pay for this? I'd like you to hit that level of quality. I'm not looking for some random checklist that clearly you made in ChatGPT, which I love ChatGPT, but the checklist that 3 things to do before you go outside today. Is that really going to change my life? No. We want it to be an immediate, tangible win. So can they actually apply this today? And then we want to be hyper relevant to the paid offer. Does it naturally lead to the service that we're creating? Sometimes that means we're creating better customers ready to work with us, but also we're creating some trust by saying, okay, well, you've done this little mini problem. Now let's do the big thing together. And then finally, is it simple and instantly useful? Can they use this without our extra guidance? Basically, can they just download this, lead themselves through the solution like that, and just get ready to go? Imagine if you had that in your cold outreach. I think that's something that would really, really be powerful. So here's an example. At Voris, one of the top downloads is the sales compensation guide. If you go to Voris.com/downloads, you can get to all of Voris's downloads. But this one stands out above most of the others because it is essentially a calculator that'll help you model out a profitable sales team. So the big problem that Voris solves is, how can I build a repeatable, scalable sales function? Right? That's the big problem. That's a complex problem, right? It's big. The stepping stone problem is, well, who should I hire first? Should I hire SDRs? Should I hire AEs? Should I hire both? How many should I hire? What do I have the budget for? These are all examples of mini questions that you could frame however you'd like, but those are all mini problems that Voris can probably help solve now to give you a strong answer. It might not be the perfect answer, but it's at least a rule of thumb. And then this kind of model is kind of a no-brainer for anybody who's planning to hire people into sales roles. So if you compare most outreach, whether it's emails or DMs, which are like, hey, we do this, you want to buy it? Instead, we could do something like, hey, I noticed you're hiring SDRs. Let's use some sort of trigger. I thought you might be interested in our sales comp calculator. It's meant to help you model a profitable sales team and test different hiring scenarios. Can I send it over? That type of DM, even if it doesn't work, it will at least be received well. And frankly, I think that's a pretty powerful, DM or email to receive. So something like this is an example. Hopefully, you see where I'm going with trying to use that solution to be hyper specific about what you're trying to solve, and then be very valuable, and then send it out there and see how it does. So hopefully this is resonating with folks. And if you have any questions, please drop them in chat. We're going to get into things in a second here. I want to repeat myself here, though. I want you to focus on real value and not what the standard lead magnets were 10 years ago. Okay. A lot of us are used to the time when maybe I'm dating myself here, but there was a time where you could, oh, I get a whole ebook. Wow, this is awesome. And then guess what happens? You download an ebook, it gets lost in some folder, you never read it, and then it's game over. So we don't want some huge thing. We don't want a long course. We don't want a long-winded answer. And when I say the ChatGPT checklist, I don't want that 3 bullet points and then, hey, this is totally great, right? I want this to be good enough for the person to say, wow, I can't believe they're not charging for it. That's really my sort of little rule of thumb of my own here. So this could be an email course. This could be, a 15-minute training video. I do think that the smaller and more compressed you make it, the better your product is going to be. The resource, the lead magnet, whatever you want to call it. This could be a playbook or a template for a specific outcome, or it could be a tutorial to set up, something, maybe even using your software. There's all kinds of ways. There's probably 1,000 versions of this that could be very powerful, but most people unfortunately default to this version up here because it's very, very easy to create, or at least it's easy to say, oh, this is valuable, right? And then assign to somebody, and then guess what? It's not great. We want specific, painful problems solved as efficiently as possible. All right. So you probably already have a version of this. This is one of the cheat codes that I would suggest exists with your team. I would go, if you're in a sales role, immediately to marketing, and if you have a CS team, to your customer success team, and ask them, what are the top performing things? When you use with either readers on the marketing side or with clients on the customer success side, what are the things that light people up? Why? Can we dig in? Maybe there's at least a starting point of one of these resources. I don't want you to come up with something that oh, we're going to build an entire academy where we're going to have all these courses and it's going to solve all the problems. That might be a nice little project for one day, but a nice big project for one day. But I want you to think about the small stuff that's really going to move the needle now for a specific prospect. So with that said, here's a quick hack that actually does pretty well, but it's not the full process. We'll go through for the full process with a couple of people during the Q&A session here. But get ready to screenshot this. It's the basic prompt you can use to at least start with getting things out there. So I know this is a lot of text. I can't copy paste this into chat properly. So go ahead and take a screenshot of this if you can. And if for whatever reason you can't, or the screenshot gets lost, just shoot me a note on LinkedIn. If we're not connected already, just connect with me and shoot me a note. Ask me for the prompt and I'll send it to you. Okay. So I'm going to give it another 5-10 seconds to take the screenshot, and then I'm going to go ahead and move on here, and we're going to go into a little more depth, and I'll show you exactly how I use this type of prompt with a little bit of context up front to actually make it a little more effective. So you see we have the 5-step process, and then I like asking it to come up with reasoning why the solution that it suggests is good. So everybody got this? Hope you do. And oh, thank you. Cameras in front of it. Very good point. Thankfully, I saw that. All right, let me change the view to here. Okay. Roman, thanks for saying that. Maxi, thank you as well. Here, I'm going to stay off screen for a second here while you take the screenshot. And give it a little 10, 9. And hopefully if you do use it, please let me know. I'd be interested to see if you come up with some good ideas with it. So I'm going to move on now. Great. Let's pop me back into screen and then let's keep going here. All right. So we're about to jump into Q&A. That's the majority of the talk. Hopefully that was nice and efficient. And then what we want to do now is get into, hopefully spend a little bit of time now actually walking through creating real versions of this stuff. That's the real goal with a lot of these presentations, is hopefully to make it as practical as possible for you. So if you would like to be one of my my victims over here, just drop your company URL into chat, and I'll show you the exact process that I walk through with folks, at least in a quick way, to show you the 5 steps and how you can use a conversation with ChatGPT rather than a single prompt to come up with slightly better results. So anybody want to be in here, let me know. And then as I'm getting people in here, I just want to wrap up by saying I'm also doing some free content audits for folks with some bonus builds. What you can do is just grab my Calendly over here. I'll pop it into chat. And let me grab this over here. Whoops. And where's my little speaker notes? Okay. So grab this here. And then please, I'm going to pop the our survey in here next. So the other live classes will be found at voris.com/events. I'll be on again next month, I think on the 13th. But please, what is so important for us is this. If you do nothing else, please fill out the survey. This is so important. And really, Kyle prides himself and what Voris produces on this type of feedback from people. So please jump in and roast me, rate me, do all that stuff. But most importantly, tell us what you thought, and then what sort of content topics you'd like to see in the future. So we build some really, really great stuff for you all. So with that said, let me jump into the Q&A here, and I'm going to switch over to my ChatGPT screen, and I see a couple people putting their stuff in here. So let me just see. Let me go to Suresh, sciflare.com. Let's pop that in. And if you are a heavy ChatGPT user like I am, it's, did I not get that right? Sciflare.com. Looks like it's www.sciflare.com. And yep, there we go. Okay. So let's go through this one, and then I see another few. Yeah, John, that's a good. I'll go back to that for a sec, but I want to go through, and I really want to show you the actual process with ChatGPT. So here, I'm going to pop this into screen for just another 10 seconds. Please take the screenshot, and then let's move my stuff out of here. Give me 1 second to do that, and get my. Okay, one more time. Take the screenshot, and then let's move on. All right. And then if you don't get this, you can always message me on LinkedIn. So give me another 5 secs, and then I'm going to go over and keep on moving here. And let us go back to our ChatGPT stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab your URL, Suresh, and then I'm going to go back to ChatGPT, and then I'm going to frame it like this. I'm going to pretend I'm you. So I'd like your help coming up. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit too, so y'all can see what I'm actually doing here. Zoom in, and let's get this a little bigger. Okay, so I'd like your help coming up with lead magnet ideas for my company. Please take a look. I want it to actually look at the website, so sometimes it'll skip over this. So please take a look at the site and tell me what you think I do. Then I have a prompt for you. So let's see here. Okay, I'm going to kind of skip ahead a little bit and assume this is pretty spot on. It usually is. So next, I want you to choose the most important buyer avatar that we have. Please explain your reasoning and only choose one. So, okay, this is one area again where I like to hone in. If this was part of a meeting, you would be doing this together as a team, and I will show you exactly what to do next. So it's still sort of giving me a bunch, but Suresh, I hope that you can jump into the comments. Let me know if this is accurate. So let's go ahead and use that. That sounds good. Next, I want you to summarize what you think the big problem is that we solve for this avatar. So it's building a fantasy sports platform from scratch, which is too complex. So we have this solution instead, right? But it's still a big problem. The big problem is, how am I going to build my fantasy sports platform? And because that's a big problem, and you have all these, technical solutions, instead we can do this. So that's correct. Again, I'm going to zoom here. Next, I want you to identify smaller, and I'm going to call them stepping stone problems that we can solve. Solve with a lead magnet. Here are some guidelines. It must be solvable immediately. It must be painful to this persona, must naturally lead to the big solution, and it must be easy to consume in less than 15 minutes. Please give me 10 ideas for lead magnets that'll make the prospect say, wow, I can't believe they didn't charge for this. So let's see what it comes up with. So a platform cost and timeline calculator, I think that's a powerful one. I think that'd be pretty cool. A 7-point platform checklist. Checklists always make me nervous, but the right checklist in the right place might be okay. A really beefed up checklist. I think this one might be okay, but you have to talk me into it. So number 1 is definitely good. 5 fantasy sport app mistakes that will kill your launch. I don't know. I think that's nice content for a blog post, maybe, or a social post. I don't think it'll convince anybody. So a revenue playbook, that's good. So number 1 and number 4. 10 fantasy sport features that'll keep people hooked. Build and buy decision matrix. I like that. I like decision matrices. So what I would usually do is, in a step 2 here, I would say I like number 1, 4, 6, whatever the ones I'm choosing are, and then run it again. But for the sake of time here, I'm going to say, okay, that's great. Please rank the top 3 most compelling lead magnets that might work in cold outreach. These must be absolutely mind-blowing value for the reader. Explain your reasoning. And then we get 3 ideas that we can then go with. And then Suresh, this is where you can take over, and then you and your team can go away and build one of these lead magnets that you can actually use in your cold outreach. So when I work with folks, just a quick, while this is moving, I go through the full version of this, where we actually sit down and brainstorm things together with some AI support. And then we build the trappings around it, the accompanying email campaign and the actual lead magnet itself. So the timeline calculator comes up as number 1. The decision matrix, hey, look at that, was number 2. And then number 3, the revenue playbook. Suresh, I hope you're still watching this because this is super valuable stuff. I think any one of these three would absolutely crush it in some cold outreach to somebody who's actually interested in building their fantasy sports platform. So hope for anybody else here, hope you got some value out of that too. I'm going to go through one more. Actually, can I just ask if you can drop in comments, is this helpful to see the full process like this? I certainly think it is, but I'd like to see if this is helpful for you all to see the ideas, that 5-step process being boiled down into a little bit more of a manual conversation with AI. Yeah, thanks, John. I need a little confirmation from you all so that I'm not just wasting everybody's time here. So let's go through another one over here and see who else is up here. Brad, I got the funnelcloud.io. So let me get to this one up here and go to funnelcloud.io. And I like doing this stuff too because it really helps to kind of go through over and over again. All right. Brad, I'm going to skip this one because we need a little more of a juicy website to go through. I think it still might be okay, but maybe I can come to this. If you'd like, shoot me a message on LinkedIn. I'll shoot you a quick little video on this one. The way that I'd approach basically having very little content, because there's a little bit of a workaround. But let's keep going through here, and let's go to, let me see, bagwasher.com. I haven't done an e-com thing in a while. I'm assuming this is a little bit of an e-com solution. Let's see this. Okay. So let's go ahead and take this. Man, do I have some comments on your website for you? If you'd like, shoot me a message on LinkedIn. I think I can optimize your website for you with a really quick 5-minute video. But let me go back to here and then go to a new chat. And then for the sake of this here, let's just kind of rip through this quick and say, I'd like your help developing lead magnet ideas for my company. Please take a look at the site and tell me what you think I do. Then I have a prompt for you. And what's kind of cool is if you see different, even if you're just doing this as practice for your respective companies, or you're doing it for other people in your space, I really think you get a lot of value seeing the different types of lead magnet ideas that pop up. So okay, eco-friendly kitchen accessory, great. Who do you think my ideal customer is? Please give me only the single buyer persona you think I should focus on. Please make it ultra specific. As you can see, I'm adjusting a little bit here, but I'm basically asking the same stuff step by step. What's the thing? What's the company? Who's the person? And then from there, so it builds out a little avatar here. Great. Can you break down the big problem that we solve for this avatar? So reduce household waste, be more sustainable without adding extra effort and inconvenience. Okay. I might challenge that a little bit. If I was really taking my time with this, I might kind of go back and forth. Sometimes developing many problems and then asking it to rank the top problem, which you see me do a little bit here, is helpful, but let's just run with it for the sake of time. And then if you have any other questions, please drop them in chat. And then I have some others here. Yeah, Chris, I'll come back to that in a sec. So let's go. Great. Now, what are some smaller stepping stone problems that this avatar might face? I want to identify problems that we might be able to solve with fantastic lead magnets that are ultra, well, let's not say brief and to the point, take 15 minutes to consume, feel freemium. The reader should think wow, I can't believe they didn't charge for this. And brief to the point, takes 15 minutes and immediately executable. Let's see what it comes up with here. The 10-minute plastic-free kitchen makeover. That's actually not bad for somebody who wants to avoid plastic. I think that's that could be a good checklist. It's do you see how, like, I'm very hesitant to say, oh, the one thing that's going to work for everybody is going to be a playbook. It's not always that. It could be a checklist if it really comes into something that's very actionable for the person. I've heard a ton of stuff about microplastics. This is something that I might actually read. So I reuse plastic bags. The 3-step method for drying plastic bags, maybe that's more like content, I think, like blog content. I hate wasting food. The no waste, that's kind of cool, how to store food so it actually lasts. Something for the lunchbox guide. So yeah, there's some pretty good ideas here. Let's go and choose, what are the top 3? Please rank them in order of most compelling and explain your reasoning. That's the last step here. And then let's see what it comes up with here. And then hopefully we have a couple good ideas here. So let me say short PDF. The drying method, I disagree. So this is where I would push back and say, okay, I don't really like number 1 actually. Instead, and here's why I want blah, blah, blah. So number 2, that's the one I liked. That pops up. And then can't remember who posted here. Sorry. Sherry, if you were to develop this one, number 2, I think that'd be a great lead magnet for you to put into your cold outreach. So I don't know if you're selling this via cold outreach, but that'd be an interesting process. So, and at the very least, you can use it in your social. So let's keep going here. Let me just check in. Do you guys want to see me do one more of these, or do you want to ask any questions? Cool, Aubrey, I'm glad this is good. So Lauren, great. Let's do yours. Please do a service example, lexiconsulting.com. Let me do that one. So let me go to this, lexiconsulting.com. Let's see what you've got. Okay, did I misspell this too? Lexico, okay, I misread that. Sorry, clearly my eyes are failing me. Lexiconsulting.com. Hopefully that works. And Ignacio, let me just answer your question as I'm going over here. Ignacio, the way that we actually draft lead magnets is really sitting down and doing it either in a Google Doc, a spreadsheet, a deck, depending on what the format is just getting the idea down. And you can definitely use ChatGPT to actually create good stuff for you at that point. So let's go here. So Lexico, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing that I did with everybody else. I'm going to come over here. And I'm actually shocked at how good ChatGPT is at sort of breaking down what a company does. So let's go here. I need your help developing lead magnet ideas for my company, which is here. Please take a look at the site and tell me what you think I do. Then I have a prompt for you. Yeah, for those of you who don't know me, I'm so deep on sort of I don't believe that ChatGPT is a good copywriter yet, although I think it will become one. But I think as a strategist and analyst, it's really good, like scarily good. So let me just take a quick look. Full service transformation consultancy. Okay, so you have some complex offers for sure that you come in and solve complex problems. So this is going to be a lot of fun, actually. So, okay, great. Who do you think my ideal buyer avatar is? I'm going to keep it broad for a second, and I'll explain why. I want to see it go a little bit, develop a bunch of ideas, which it's doing now. It's going to say C-suite VPs, heads of, leads and corporate development executives, various industries, various sizes. So you could probably come into quite a few different types of companies. I'm assuming here, Lauren, but let's just want to show you exactly what to do. So this goes into some detail. Great. I want you to identify the single best buyer avatar possible. I want you to be very specific and laser in on one specific human role for the sake of this exercise. If I don't put the exercise bit, it sometimes pushes back and say, oh, I don't want to do that. But let's see what that comes up with. The VP of transformation, Lauren, is that accurate? Do you think the VP of business transformation or equivalent at a Fortune 1000 company? If you could just drop it in chat. I know it's a little awkward because there's a little bit of a lag here, but hopefully you can get to this and see it. And I'm going to keep going, but let's keep going here. Pain points and challenges, motivations to work. Great. In that case, I'm going to go a little deeper here just for the sake of this exercise here and show you one more level that I like to add to these. And I'm assuming that people are finding this useful. So hopefully this is good. Buying triggers, their own trend. Yeah, this is everything I'm skimming looks appropriate. So let's keep going here. Great. Now I want you to expand the pain points out to a list of 25 plus. I'm going to repeat myself. Pain points. Please format them as bullets, framed as problem statements in the form of questions from the POV of this specific avatar. And the reason that I like to do this is that this does a couple things. A, it'll give you a bunch of content ideas for your marketing team. I think they would say thank you for sending these over. These are great for social posts, maybe for some blog posts, whatever. But it gives you a lot of content for your marketing. But it also identifies sort of when you see it en masse, you can sort of say, well, okay, these two float to the top. This one's kind of irrelevant, or this one's just wrong, or whatever. And then you can kind of map out when you have relevancy to ideas when you brainstorm like this. So it's nice because it organizes it as into these headers. So strategic and organizational pain points. How do I do all these things? And hopefully you see these are probably, some of these at least are going to be very lead magnetable. So that is pretty solid, I think, as I'm skimming through here. So these are great. Now I want you to explain what you think the big problem is that we solve for this specific avatar. So it's already kind of explained it, but I'm going through it again just for the sake of it. So the transformation efforts fail because orgs lack a clear executable strategy that aligns with business objectives, gains executive and stakeholder buy-in, and delivers measurable impact without disrupting daily operations. That sounds spot on to me, Lauren. Feel free to push back on that, but that sounds very much like what you probably do. And again, I want to emphasize, this is a big problem. So Lauren's company comes in and has probably a pretty intense engagement. So how does she get the attention of folks without tripping over herself to try to explain all the stuff that she could possibly do? So I just want to say that's spot on. Now, please come up with smaller stepping stone problems that this avatar likely faces, which we can solve with lead magnets. Some guidelines. They must be specific. They must solve one problem. They must be valuable and feel premium to the reader. They must be easy to consume in under 15 minutes, and they must be immediately actionable, executable, or whatever. Yeah, Ryan, I agree. I think it's nice to see a sort of a more complex issue basically being broken down. So some basic ideas. It's nice that this is actually, it maintained the headers. That's kind of cool that it did that. I wasn't expecting that. So a transformation roadmap cheat sheet. I think that could be cool for social. I don't think that's going to do the trick really. A 90-day transformation sprint guide, that might. That's really good. That addition of the 90 days, a calendar where you get detailed, if you actually make that good, Lauren, I would say that it's not just the idea that it has to be executed well, but a 90-day guide like this, we've used that in the past with certain playbooks and it's been very good. The executive buy-in playbook, that's actually pretty good too. I kind of like that. I'm not sure that it's the most mind-blowing, but it's solid. Transformation, a war room toolkit, stakeholder alignment. Lauren, this is pretty good stuff. I'm going to be honest. It's kind of weak, but hopefully you see that this is an interesting process to go through. I'm just going to ask it to, I didn't expect to come up with all these. This is kind of cool. I might tweak my system a little bit here, but these are great. Please rank the top 3 most compelling leading matters from this list and explain your reasoning. I always want it to explain itself. Okay, is it done here? It's still going. Transformation budget calculator. That's kind of cool. So yeah, these are, I didn't expect to give you 25 ideas. This is pretty cool. I'll send this to you, Lauren. Just shoot me a message on LinkedIn, please. And then I will, here we go. I'll shoot you the whole chat. And that goes for everybody who we chatted through. So the executive buy-in playbook. Okay, cool. I mentioned that one, that I liked it. I like it when I agree with ChatGPT. This is nice. So a 5-slide executive briefing template. You could probably go a little bit deeper than that maybe, but something like that is good with the messaging frameworks. I think that'd be really good. 90-day guide. Yeah, see, okay. It also means I'm spending way too much time with ChatGPT. Oh man. But hopefully this is good, Lauren, and this works. And what I'm going to do here, folks, is I'm going to go back to this. And please, one more time, bear with me here. Please fill out the survey. And if you want to grab the full-blown version of working with me on some free stuff, one more time, here's my link. Go ahead and grab some free time with me. And then I can show you exactly what I do. And then here's the survey. This is so important to us, guys. I cannot emphasize how important it is for us to get your feedback from stuff like this. So hopefully this was useful to you all. Please let me know if there's any opportunity for improvement or things you'd like to see different, or if you have totally different content topics that you'd like me to hit. I'm coming back to talk about cold emails some more next month. But if you have any other ideas for myself on the copywriting side, or for Kyle, Kyle will cover much more. If this is your first time, Kyle covers more of the calling, sales strategy, sales team building, management, leadership. He covers all kinds of stuff. That's really great. So please come on in, and that's really it. Does anybody have any last minute questions that we could look at together? Otherwise, if I don't see anything come through, I will wish you all a very, very fantastic rest of your day. Thank you for spending an hour with me today here on this Thursday. You didn't have to do that, and I really appreciate you being here. And otherwise, wish you all the best and have a fantastic weekend. Hope to see you again in the near future. Take care, folks. Speak soon. Bye-bye.